In a few moments, you'll be hearing from our incredible teams. They work across a wide range of industries, including advanced manufacturing, artificial intelligence, food and beverage, and the life sciences. David is an organic chemist from TMU. He completed his undergraduate and master's theses with Dr. Mark J. Adler, who is now his co-founder. Mark and David completed our Lab2Market Validate program and are an incredible duo. They love a great challenge and they love great whiskey. They spun Visix out of their lab less than a year and a half ago and have been making incredible things. Let's give a warm round of applause to David.
Hi everyone, I'm David, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the accelerated maturation of spirits with the use of organic chemistry. So today, if you want to start a distillery, craft distillers need to put down $2 million on average to just start up. And the first thing on their mind is to make their money back as quick as possible. So what do? They start making clear liquor, such as vodka or gin. And this is because of the quick turnaround. They can make it in a couple weeks and shelve it immediately. And but in Canada, whiskey reigns supreme. But there's a few hurdles for these brand new distillers to get into that market. First off, whiskey needs to be aged for a minimum of 3 years due to Canadian regulations. And not only that, if they commit to starting to age the whiskey, they lose 20% of that product to the air. So your money is literally going up in the air. And then not only that, these brand new distilleries, they're using brand new recipes. And so they have no idea what they're going to get at the end of the third year. So just to reiterate, you put unaged clear whiskey into a barrel. You wait 3 years. There's a bunch of chemical reactions that happen within the barrel that happen within the 3 years that mellow it out, give it its color, give it its taste, and then you get your product. But at Visix, we flip the process on its head, and instead of putting the liquor into the barrel, we put the wood into the liquor. And I do the treatment myself. I toast and char the wood, put it in, and I also use the fundamentals of organic chemistry to get the time down from 3 years to 4 months, which is 10 times faster. And not only that, we use completely sealed vessels, so we're not losing anything to the air. The only time we're losing anything is when the liquor gets into your guys' hands. And we also can rapidly taste test the product as well, so like in monthly intervals. So we also know how it tastes as it goes along. And our process leads us to multiple paths of revenue. So we can create that new spirit line like I was just talking about, or we can create premium spirits. We take 3-year-old whiskey and we'd run it through our process for 4 months, and then this would allow craft distillers to put a premium price tag on their whiskey, which they wouldn't be able to do otherwise, as a premium price tag is associated with older whiskey. And then thirdly, we'd be able to make ready-to-drink cocktails for them. And that's because craft distillers can't do that because they have such small batches of whiskey. They'd have to dip into that already small supply to make those ready-to-drink cocktails. And the spirit industry in Canada is a $1 billion industry, and about 10% of that is from Canadian craft distillers. And our targeted beachhead market is the Ontario craft distillers, and that's because they're the biggest in Canada, and we think there's room for growth and innovation within the industry. And if you look to the right of the slide, those are our direct competitors, but the one thing they can't say, they can claim all the things we can. So we have a proprietary process that doesn't use a barrel, and we don't use any chemicals, and we focus on collaboration with other distillers. And to date, I've done Lab2Market Validate and Launch, like Tori said, and I've conducted over 40 interviews and found product market fit. And I've also done Launch, which has helped me refine my business model. And I've also figured out how we're going to protect our IP. We're currently in the process of filing a patent with Berskin & Parr with the support of TMU. And We've got a deal in principle with Allura Distillery where we're going to do a 200-liter run of premium whiskey. We've got a deal in principle with Spirit of York where we're going to do a run of aged spirit cocktails. And we're having preliminary discussions with Elevacion 1250 to age their tequila, as it's not possible for them right now. And then for my next steps, we want to scale up the team, people that have expertise in marketing, sales, and accounting. We also want to scale up operations. We need equipment to handle the volume that we need to do these deals. And we need a physical storage location. And we want to start generating revenue in the near future. If you guys are interested in talking with me, please visit my booth next door. Thank you.
DefAI is an awesome duo made up of Mehdi Massoumi, a mechanical engineer from UBC, and Azadeh Bojmarani, a PhD in experimental medicine from U of T. DefAI is a COVID baby. It was born out of the observation that the mass adoption of masks was impeding the deaf community's ability to read lips and be included in society. As such, they've invented an AI-powered platform to help make information equally accessible to the deaf community. So give it up for Mehdi and DefAI.
So hello everyone. We are DefAI, an AI-based sound language interpreter. So we figure out that there is a lack of proper means of communication in the age of communication, especially right now for the deaf people. And during the COVID, when they were masked, they couldn't read the lips. And they become more and more isolated. During all these stages, sound language remained unchanged. If you want to know, there is no universal sound language available. Only in Canada, we have two different sound languages, English and the French one. English structure is completely different from ASL language. And English is not the first language of the deaf people. Close-up captioning and subtitles exist, but they are not really functional, especially for deaf kids. So, our grand vision is to make a transition from human AI-based interpreter to the AI-based one to make it more available, affordable, and accessible. Our revenue model is going to be use API and SaaS as a pay-you-go annual subscription fee and license the technology. Our path to the market is going to be focused on a public transit, airport terminals announcement, and later on for the live sports. So if you want to know regarding the FAR markets, we can say that ASL sound language globally in the world has $7.6 billion. Only for the public transposition, we think that is going to be around $500 million, and for the airport terminals, it's going to be around $1 billion. So we are really happy to say that TTC and Mississauga Public Transport, and they are going to help us to try our first pilot for all the subways, wagons, and buses. They have already digital screens. So what will happen? They have digital screens there. So by using DefAI based on language interpreter, they are going to say all of the stop announcement, all of the urgent announcement by using ASL digital interpreter. Our second market is going to be airport terminals. Why? Because at airport terminals, they're using lots of flight announcements. They don't need any facial movement. So we really want to give all the deaf people to have equal access to information at the airports. So we have LOI from airports in California and Canada, and we are happy to say that Transport Canada accepted to financially support us to do our first pilot study at Calgary Airport. It's not going. Oh, sorry. Okay, so we have different competitors there. So we have the big companies like Microsoft, Google. But as we can say, they are focusing on ASL globally itself. But we have a niche product, and we are focusing on it, airport transport and the transposition. I have problem with this one. If you want to know how we develop it, so here is some pictures of our studio. So we have AI model and avatar. Our ASL interpreter, she's going to wear some specific equipment with motion capture suites, and she's going to translate all of the transit announcement, flight announcement in ASL. We are going to gather all the database by body motions and fingers for AR training. And then we have Unreal Engine programmer who is using to create hyper-realistic avatar that we call it metahuman. So we have different specialists in our group, and we have members of the dev community as dev ML engineer and dev relation public. So our ask here for you is, do you know any connections with transit authorities? Do you know any funding opportunities for transit innovations or any impact investors? If you know, please let us know. So here you can see one of our first avatars demo. They're using flight announcement. If you want to see more and try it yourself, please come next door to our booth. Thank you very much.
All right, up next is Retinex, another awesome duo. Richard Van Blisterwick and Lucas Vitello met working at the University of Waterloo for the same supervisor in advanced manufacturing. These two are also recent graduates of last year's Validate national cohort, and they spun their research, they spun Retinex out of their combined research, which is why they're so excited to bring it to market. Lucas, get on up here.
All right, thank you, everybody. So I'm here to represent Retinex, and we have a patented real-time monitoring and control system for metal additive manufacturing. And with our products, we are helping operators by simplifying quality assurance in metal additive. So you may be wondering what metal additive manufacturing is. And it is a process in which molten metal is fused layer by layer to create 3D parts or to repair components. And it has a lot of interesting applications, such as Boeing using the technology for repairing propeller blades, as well as NASA using it to build large, complex parts, such as rocket nozzles. However, these products would be impossible with traditional means. And despite the potential, there are limitations preventing its widespread adoption. By conducting over 100 customer interviews, we have learned that inconsistent quality is one of the main barriers to entry into the market. And in order to circumvent this, these systems are often applying, these systems need to have highly qualified personnel, often PhDs, in order to use these systems, and they have to invest a lot into process development to fine-tune the exact power and speed requirements to build the desired parts. This process development costs roughly $250,000 annually per machine. And it results in significantly wasted time and materials, which has a significant impact as well. Currently, to circumvent these problems, many companies turn to simulation to simulate the manufacturing environment, or they build test parts with increasing scale and complexity, and there are some alternative methods for monitoring and control. However, looking at these alternatives, many of them look at only one parameter, changing only the speed or the power. Where our solution fits in is in multi-parameter control. So we can change both the speed and the power in real time in order to get the desired microstructure, material properties, and dimensions. Here you can see a quick video in which we are changing those parameters like the speed and power in order to control those properties that we're looking for. And using our solution, we're able to streamline the process development time in order to get manufactured parts to mimic the desired with less testing, and therefore with more consistent quality, we're able to make the systems easier to operate. And with our savings, we can reduce the development time by 20%, and that results in savings of $50,000 annually per machine. Therefore, also reducing waste and getting to the desired properties a lot faster. To directly compare ourselves to competitors, we've created this graphic. So on the horizontal axis, you can see the monitoring capabilities, while the vertical axis corresponds to control capabilities. And here you can see how our competitors rank in our system. Many of them have expertise in monitoring and control. However, we are uniquely positioned to have real-time monitoring and control of multiple parameters. And another competitive advantage is we have a patent in real-time microstructure control that was granted to us in 2020. This market, which is combined of global market of metal additive manufacturing and welding, is a revenue opportunity of over $2 billion. And we're looking at a beachhead market of laser deposition, which sits at around $400 million, where we are looking at small original equipment manufacturers, or OEMs, where we estimate to be at around $40 million as our market entry. This is based on our experience working with Promation and Racer in pilot projects, and understanding that in the market, it is these small OEMs who are investing the most in process development and therefore most likely to work with us. To utilize the available market, we will consist of hardware sales as well as software sales of our system, and ongoing revenue in the form of service subscriptions. Based on our pricing as well as our savings, customers can expect a return on investment in under 2 years. Our traction is we started by patenting our technology in 2020 and founded our company in 2021 with our first trial in the following year. We've also secured over $250,000 in non-diluted funding, and we have ongoing pilot projects as well as demo opportunities lined up in the future with the first round of funding in 2025. Retinex was founded by Richard and I, as well as a team of University of Waterloo advisors who together we have over 50 years of experience and in additive manufacturing, as well as starting multiple startups. Right now, we're looking for funding in order to travel as well as conduct those demos, and we'll start seed round in 2025. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Up next is SamaraWind. Samara was spun out of Adnan El-Makta's PhD research at Queen's University. He focused on the unique aerodynamic properties that maple seeds have and incorporated them into his micro wind turbine design. He is also a graduate of our very first Validate cohort back in 2020, and he and his co-founder Winston Hu have been working tirelessly at improving their proof of concept. SamaraWind is dedicated to mitigating the effects of climate change and bringing sustainable, clean energy to disadvantaged communities who currently depend on an unreliable power grid. Give it up for Adnan.
Hello, everybody. My name is Adnan, and I am the CEO of SamaraWind. This is Lebanon, my home country, Lebanon, where I raised and studied at schools and universities. As a student, when I was living there, I had to study under the light of candles for many nights because of constant blackouts and of the constant blackouts there. You see, Lebanon has a production deficit on the grid of 1,300 megawatt, which is equivalent to the peak demand of Ottawa. And also, they have fuel shortages that was worsened by the recent economic crisis there. Also, as a result, people there rely on diesel generators, which cost them up to 65 cents per kilowatt hour or $250 per month on top of their hydro bill. The solution for that, one of the solutions is to harness the abundant wind resource in Lebanon. And through thousands of years of evolution, maple seeds or samaras are known to do this very well. So maple seeds evolved to harness the unsteady wind in order to propagate themselves away from their parent trees, ensuring their successful reproduction of their species. So inspired by these amazing seeds, we designed a micro wind turbine that captures the key aerodynamic and physical characteristics of maple seeds. By doing that, SamaraWind turbines perform up to 30% higher efficiency in gusty wind, which make them ideal for urban or semi-urban environments where wind is usually unsteady. And to put you in context, usually conventional small wind turbines lose efficiency in these environments, which make them unuseful most of the time. The second advantage is that these micro wind turbines can be arranged in any configuration. As you see here, this is an example, a 4x4 array. And also they have plug play, meaning that any defective model can be swapped easily without any required experience. So our strategy in order to enter the market of Lebanon now, so we are gonna supply SamaraWind turbines to 12 Palestinian refugee communities in Lebanon in coordination with the United Nations agency called UNRWA. And also, we are going to approach renewable energy distributors in Lebanon that are responsible to supply renewable energy solutions, especially solar, for industry and agriculture establishments. SamaraWind has low initial cost and it's easy to install and maintain. It's designed, it's in the design of it. Our direct competitors are vertical axis wind turbines, which are has low initial cost, but are complex to install and maintain. Also, conventional small wind turbines, horizontal axis wind turbines, have high initial costs, and also they require trained technicians in order to maintain them and install them. So SamaraWind is intended to complement solar energy in order to replace completely diesel generators. As for traction, we get $400,000 by being a participant of IDEA's Pop City contest. So in order to build a prototype and test it. Also, we secured a pilot project with the United Nations with the help of American University of Beirut to supply 4 units for refugee communities to test it. And also, we signed a distribution deal with Earth Technologies, which is a Lebanese solar energy, and that supplies energy in Lebanon and in Africa. For the next steps, we are gonna design the manufacturing strategies in order to mass produce the SamaraWind turbines effectively, and we also want to secure some pilot projects in Northern Canada and So in order to help us with this journey, we need some advisors and board members with experience of renewable energy market and to help us with that. And finally, we are, as SamaraWinds, our mission is to provide disadvantaged communities with the same level of accessibility to wind energy as solar energy, illuminating their nights and powering their futures. Thank you.
Biofect was born out of a deep personal motivation to combat prediabetes and weight-related challenges. Christian is also a Lab2Market Validate alumnus, and he and his friends were longtime friends before co-founding this company and combining their cumulative PhD research from TMU and the University of Waterloo to build their foundational platform. Here to help us rethink our sugar habits, Christian.
As already mentioned, my name is Christian, and I'm a recovering sugar addict. At just 26 years old, I was overweight, pre-diabetic, and my doctor wanted to put me on statins. But can you really blame me, though? Because more than 75% of our grocery products have added sugar in them. You can't avoid them. And this is problematic, as you know, because sugar is a known risk factor for chronic inflammation, causing diabetes, cancer, obesity, which kills 3 in 4 people every single year. And because of this, governments around the world, they're changing the way sugar is used and labeled in products. For example, Health Canada, they are putting this label on products high in sugar, and this is forcing manufacturers to reformulate using alternative sweeteners. But the problem is, alternative sweeteners, we don't really like them because they don't taste as good and they're not as healthy as we thought they were. So the question is, without a good sugar substitute, how do we address our sugar addiction sustainably? And this is a problem that we're solving at Biofect Innovations by producing a natural, high-intensity sweetener called brazine. And brazine is this molecule that you find in the Ubli bear in West Africa. And this is a unique molecule because unlike other alternative sweeteners that are chemical-based, It's a protein, meaning you digest it easily in your body, and it doesn't cause insulin spikes, so it's good for sugar-limited diets. Oh, and it's also 2,000 times sweeter than sugar, so a little bit goes a really long way. And importantly, it tastes great, so that finally we can all have our cakes and eat it too, guilt-free. I know, it sounds too good to be true, because it is. Unfortunately, the fruit only grows in West Africa and nowhere else. And brazine, you only find it in very small quantities within the fruit itself. So scaling it, forget about it using traditional agriculture. So this is what we're doing at Biofect, because what we develop is a bio-based proprietary platform to produce proteins at high scale, including brazine. And we don't need to grow any plants in the process or traditional agriculture. First, we bioengineer friendly microbes like yeast with a DNA blueprint that we get from the fruit itself. Then we put that friendly microbe in fermentation tanks similar to making beer, wine, or insulin. Then, instead of feeding it barley like in beer, we feed it low-value industry byproducts like starches, which they convert into high-value products like brazine. So in other words, we're turning waste into something valuable. Then we purify the product that's produced and use it to make great-tasting sugar-reduced or sugar-free products. And with the prototypes that we developed, we shipped it out to our early users who validated its sweetness, its compatibility with important food processing parameters, temperature, pH, solubility, and surprising functionalities. It turns out that brazine actually blocks the bitter aftertaste of existing sweeteners, so it can synergize with existing alternatives out there. We started our journey with brazine last year in Berlin at the world-renowned ProVeg Incubator, and our main goal was to make brazine a B2B ingredient for food ingredient manufacturers so we can get into the hands of as many food brands as possible. This year, we're working on scaling up our production towards pilot scales with the help of our third-party Canadian partners there. And at the same time, we're working on partnerships with major ingredient manufacturers who are interested in buying the brazine, in addition to developing, licensing, and potentially acquiring our other portfolio ingredients. We aim to be at commercial scale by 2026, where we expect to produce 10 tons, half of it already allocated for an ingredient manufacturer, representing about $4 million in top-line revenue. I know, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're scaling our production beyond that to 10 tons, 100 tons, as we scale our production towards serving more global ingredient manufacturers. We're a team of PhD founders surrounded by high-impact mentors and organizations around the world who really empower us to stay on top of our competition. And speaking of competition, sugar is not a winner-takes-all market. There can be multiple winners in this race. What really sets us apart is our ability to produce proteins at a high scale so that we can reach price parity with existing sugar substitutes. And bringing brazine, not just globally, but especially nationally, is important because Canada, as you know, is the second most diabetic nation amongst 38 OECD nations. With this ingredient, we have the potential to create healthier lives without compromising the products and food that we enjoy and love. At the same time, with our ingredient, we empower Canadian producers to remain competitive on the global stage amidst changing regulatory landscapes. And lastly, with our work, we can establish Canada as a growing player in the growing $4 trillion bioeconomy. At just 26 years old, I had to make a drastic change. I cut out sugar completely, and it worked. But life's about enjoying the simple things, and at Biofect, we're creating healthier lives without compromise. Now, that's sweet. I'd love to see you guys at the booth if you have questions. If you want to support our mission, enjoy the rest of your expo.
We're going to move on to Fatima Kevani, a PhD student at the University of Waterloo in biomedical engineering and the founder of SmartSense. Fatima, too, is a Validate alumnus and is passionate about bringing advanced technologies in point-of-care sepsis detection to the real world. Give it up for Fatima.
Hello, everyone. I'm here today to talk about SmartSense. Sepsis is a life-threatening condition that starts when a local infection enters the bloodstream. It provokes an extreme immune response, which if left untreated can quickly lead to tissue damage, organ failure, and death. Sepsis costs the healthcare $24 billion a year in the United States and $2.2 billion a year in Canada. Overall, in these two countries, about 2.5 million people develop sepsis every year, and 300,000 die from it. Current gold standard method for detecting sepsis is the blood culture, which involves collecting blood from a patient, continued with transferring that blood sample to localized medical laboratories. where the blood is cultured and the infection inside the blood is grown, and then analyzed using cellular and molecular techniques. This process takes 2 to 5 days. The long turnaround time of blood culture leads to delayed sepsis detection and treatment. And this is while each 1 hour delay in detecting and treating the severe cases of sepsis equals 8% decline in survivability. Our solution is a smart bloodstream infection detector. Our solution is a point-of-care test that can be implemented near the patient or at the bedside. It takes the patient's blood sample and provides the type of infection as well as the presence of infection in less than 1 hour. Our smart bloodstream infection detector can reduce the 30-day hospital readmission by 70%, which equals saving $315 million from the healthcare system in Canada every year. It also reduces the length of stay by 20%, meaning about $10,000 lower cost of hospitalization per hospitalized septic patient. Our smart bloodstream infection detector also reduces the hospital mortality by 50%. The global diagnostic market for sepsis is $5.2 billion a year, and the North American market is $2.08 million. We have done extensive market research and we have identified our early adopters. Considering our early adopters, our serviceable obtainable market will be $50 million a year. The key players in the ecosystem for sepsis detection are bioMeri, Molenzyme, and ImmunoExpress. However, their assay turnaround time is quite high. Also, they cannot be implemented near the patient. On the other hand, our solution has a short turnaround time of less than 1 hour. Also, it can be implemented at the bedside. Our team consists of me, myself, who I'm the co-founder of SmartSense. I'm also a PhD candidate in biomedical engineering. And Dr. Pudine, who has years of experience developing biomedical devices and biosensors and provides technology advisorship to our company. We have engaged in many conversations in hospitals, clinicians, and end users. And we have identified these 8 local hospitals who have expressed their strong interest in adopting our bloodstream infection detector. So far, we have interviewed more than 100 stakeholders. We designed our product market fit, and we have built our prototype. We also have raised more than $100,000 in seed funding, which is also non-dilutive funding. Our main activities for the next year are to raise further funding to do further research and development activities, also recruiting medical advisors to our team. If you're interested, please reach out. These are my contacts. Also, I'm available at our booth in the next year.
All right, our next competitor, our next pitch, will be delivered by Rebecca Allen of Gene to Lead. Gene to Lead is another Patrick Gunning spinout at the University of Toronto, where they've invented an AI-powered platform to revolutionize drug discovery. Rebecca, come on up here.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to present today our company, Gene to Lead. My name is Rebecca Allen. Gene to Lead is an AI and machine learning supported platform for the identification of novel drug targets. Currently, it costs around $1 to $2 billion for a drug to be launched to the market. And this is due to many inefficient processes at various stages of drug development. And we're going to focus on the first stage, which is research and development. In research and development, a goal is to identify novel drug targets. And one of the very common experiments to do this is an experiment called proteomics, where you incubate drugs and cells, you get a data output, as we can see. You then have to run validations, and then hopefully you end up with a molecule that will then become further optimized. However, as we can see, there's a very poor success rate of this, of around 5 to 10% in a proteomics experiment. And we want to improve this. So why is the success rate so terrible? It's because of the validation. Validation takes years to do, maybe months to years, and this is because not all proteins are applicable for these experiments, and these validation experiments are extremely expensive. This means that pharmaceutical companies have to choose select data points, like we see in yellow, to run these validations on, and so they miss valuable data. Where we come in with our solution is that we apply an API to the initial data set, meaning that we analyze all of the data so that we don't miss valuable data points. This means that you end up having to run fewer validations, which costs a lot less money, a lot fewer resources are required, and in the end, you have an improved success rate. So our proprietary platform is made up of two parts, MassLink and DeepLink. They both use the same computational pipeline, but they require different inputs. So MassLink requires proteomics data, as we saw before, and DeepLink uses a search query. So these two platforms provide drug target information. They provide specific parameters around these drug targets, includes degree of confidence, stringency levels, and also false positive prediction, which is really important for proteomics experiments. So we have validated our platform by applying 3,000 drug targets to MassLink, and it was able to correctly identify 100% of the valid protein targets, and as a negative control, it identified 151 false positive protein targets. And so that gave MassLink an accuracy of over 99%. The cost that we can save is enormous compared to in-house experiments and those performed by contract research organizations. And the time it takes our platform to conduct these validations is a matter of seconds to minutes compared to hours, or even really months and years, actually, that it would take for contract research organizations. How we are differentiated is that a lot of the companies in this space focus more on designing large compound libraries, while we specialize and understand protein surfaces. We like to map protein surfaces and understand the residue reactivity, and we also focus more in the covalent space, so designing drug target interactions that are irreversible, whereas many companies are more in the reversible, non-covalent space. The global targeted therapeutics market is large, around 60 billion in 2020, and more specifically, the proteomics market, as we described to kind of find these drug target interactions, is also very large at 30 billion in 2020, where North America has 35% of that market share. Our platform lies at the interface of proteomics and AI, where AI for drug discovery is around 600 million, growing extremely rapidly at 47% annually. Currently, we're in the process of finalizing agreements with 4 partnerships. We're approximately 4 months away from revenue generation, where we can launch our product early next year. And we've just been accepted into CDL for this coming year. To reach these value inflection points, we need to hire more AI machine learning software engineers, and also we require funding to help increase our data storage and our data maintenance. Our team is comprised of many industry experts and experienced founders. We have experience also in contract research organizations and specialize in structural biology, medicinal chemistry, and AI for drug discovery. At Gene to Lead, we're on a mission to expedite the development of new cancer therapeutics for patients and unlock inaccessible protein targets. Thank you so much for listening.
Okay, we're moving on to another PhD candidate at U of T. He's getting up. Michael Dang is another Validate alumnus, and he and his colleagues co-founded Synakis, a spin-out out of Molly Shiochik's lab, to combat retinal diseases, ocular diseases. He and his team have been working very closely with world-renowned vitreoretinal surgeons to develop their first product, a biodegradable biomimetic solution to retinal detachment. Michael, take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. So my name is Michael Dang. I'm a co-founder of Synakis. How would you feel if this was your daily vision? Well, this is the reality for millions of patients suffering from retinal detachment, unfortunately. Typically, retinal detachment patients, they're going through a retinal surgery where they get injected this ocular oil gas that allows them to replace the retina to the back of the eye. The problem with this product is the recovery process, which takes weeks to months to happen. During that recovery process, patients continuously have a blurry vision because these materials are non-transparent. They also need you to do a phase-down posturing for 18 hours a day for weeks to months. And they also need you to go through a secondary surgery at the end of the recovery process because these materials are not biodegradable. Well, that's where Synakis comes in. We developed Syngel, a novel hydrogel vitreous substitute that allows us to have material that is transparent, mitigating any blurry vision during that recovery process. It is also biomimetic, which avoids the needs for phase-down posturing for 18 hours a day. And finally, it's also biodegradable, avoiding the need for secondary surgery. Overall, our goal is really to allow us for comfortable and also a fast recovery for patients by decreasing the time of recovery to days, and also decreasing significantly the surgical backlog by 5 times, and also reducing the cost in healthcare system by 10 times. Due to the aging population, the aging population, the market of ocular oils and gas, namely the vitreous substitute, is a fast-growing market, and is estimated right now to be $100 million. In addition to being superior than the products of our leading competitors, such as Alcon and Bausch & Lomb, we're also superior than other hydrogel vitreous substitutes that are in development, such as this company, ABVC Pharma, by being more stable than them and also having a chemistry that is more safe for patients. Synakis has the IP for success. So we filed the patent in 2019 and entered the national phase in several major territories, including the US, Australia, Canada, China, and also Europe. So far, we raised more than $1.5 million in non-dilutive fundings to allow us to finish the last preclinical studies, and we're now ready to seek for $3 million in seed round in order for us to start our GMP manufacturing, to file the IDE to the FDA, and finally to start our pilot clinical trial. Synakis is not just a vitreous substitute company. Synakis is actually developing a robust drug delivery pipeline of products, starting with Syngel in order for us to de-risk the product in the regulatory system. We will use Syngel as a base for us to use it as a drug delivery system for biologics, for dry AMD, and also for glaucoma to release small molecule drugs, and allowing us to enter into a significantly larger market, estimated to be a $16 billion market. What makes Synakis a success is the team. Synakis is led by leading expert in the field of polymer chemistry and also biomaterials, but also by world-renowned Professor Molly Shorkett, who is a material chemist at the University of Toronto, and also Dr. Rob Devenier, who is the ophthalmologist of the Maple Leaf team, actually, and who initially came to us with the problem to help us design the perfect hydrogel vitreous substitute. With Synakis, the choice becomes clear. So please join us in this journey to overcome blindness. Thank you very much.
All right, last but certainly not least, cancer has unfortunately devastated too many of us. Someone who has been touched directly by this terrible disease is Dr. Chris Mueller at Queen's University, and as such, he spent his entire 30-plus year career advancing cancer screening technologies. Recently, he's teamed up with Dr. Ursa Wigington, a recent recipient of MITAC's 2023 Global Impact Award and a Validate alumnus, to spin out mDETECT, an incredible company out of Queens. They are here to dramatically improve outcomes for women with metastatic breast cancer. Let's give it up for Ursa.
Hello, everyone. So, cancer remains one of the greatest health challenges of our lifetime, impacting every one of us in the room today. And while there has been a lot of advancements in developing therapeutics and medicines to treat cancer, up until now, we've really lacked the tools to know if these are actually working in patients. And that's why at mDETECT, the question that we're centered around is, why wait to know? Because millions of cancer patients around the world are waiting to know what's happening to the cancer in their body. Is it working? Is their treatment working? Has it come back? Is it even safe to stop treatment? And the underlying problem comes from the fact that there's hardly little or no monitoring that happens with cancer patients. And this is especially problematic when we get to advanced stages of disease or metastatic disease, where the cancer has now spread to your different parts of the body. The only monitoring done here are CT scans. Now, I'll give you a story of Mary. Mary, a mom of 2 kids, was recently diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, and unfortunately only has a 20% chance of living for more than 5 years. But she will be lucky if she makes it to 2 years. Mary has recently started her first round of treatment, but it's likely that it's not gonna work, and she's gonna have to wait a minimum of 3 months when she can have her first CT scan to know that that treatment did not work. Now, Mary is gonna have to cycle through multiple different treatments, averaging about 4 to 5 different treatments, until she finds one that she actually has a positive response to. But unfortunately, it's been up to 18 to 24 months at this point, and Mary will not live much longer as her disease has advanced, and she's been exposed to the very toxic side effects of those previous treatments that did not work. Now, unfortunately, the average survival of a patient with metastatic breast cancer is also 18 to 24 months. So the solution we provide with mDETECT is to use our blood tests to monitor patients like Mary and determine their response to treatment within weeks, and so that she can cycle through 2 different treatments a lot faster, and maybe identify that one that she had a positive response to in about 5 to 6 months instead of 18 to 24 months. And now her disease is still treatable, and she hasn't been exposed to very serious side effects. So mDETECT, as I mentioned, is a blood test, and essentially cancer in your body will release all sorts of information into the bloodstream. We've taken advantage of that, where we collect blood, analyze specific marks on tumor DNA, and essentially give you a tumor burden and tell you whether your cancer is growing or shrinking regardless of where it is in the body. Now, we have 7 different cancer tests. Our breast cancer test is our most advanced, where we've just launched a clinical trial at Kingston General Hospital and Ottawa General Hospital called Beacon, where we're currently recruiting patients. But all of our tests are quite well mature and have undergone some form of clinical studies. A significant amount of funding has also gone into the development of these tests, and we can impact about 10 million people that are currently living with this disease in North America. Now, the liquid biopsy market is quite young. It's an $8 billion market, and it's expected to reach $26 billion by 2030. Now, most liquid biopsy companies are really focused on treatment selection, so being able to select a targeted therapy for a specific patient, or have focused in the diagnosis or early detection space. There are a few companies that are focused in monitoring using blood for patients, but unfortunately it comes at a very high cost, or that they actually require a tissue biopsy before they move on to blood monitoring. mDETECT is also an intellectual property leader and has the earliest filing date amongst competition. And with the way that healthcare is sort of evolving, especially in the United States, focusing more on value-based care, as well as technical advancement leading to precision medicine, as well as access to that technology, we envision that mDETECT is actually going to be sold as a kit, kind of like how you have a COVID kit, being sold to hospitals, because these hospitals already have the equipment and personnel to be able to carry out these tests in-house. So in order to reach a commercial product, we've calculated that we'll need about $10 million total investment. We've already secured about 1.2 in non-dilutive. That's going towards our clinical trial. And our next one is going to be a $3 million raise, which will lead us to an FDA submission. Now, we have a very talented team behind us. Of course, Chris, as Tori mentioned, is a co-founder with me at mDETECT, but we also have experts in liquid biopsy space, in regulatory, as well as in VC and investment, and then also our clinical partners who are leading our clinical trials. We also have the resources as well as the expertise from all the different programs that we've now participated in. And so with that, if you're interested in mDETECT and learning more, please come see me next door and know that you can make a difference as well. Thank you very much.